All right, everyone, get ready for this, because today we're going to be going deep on something pretty interesting. We're talking about the Conawake gaming license.
Yeah, this one's a good one.
You might be thinking, gaming license, is that really that exciting? But stick with us, okay? Because this is not your average license. This one comes with a bit of a twist.
It does, yeah.
We're talking about a Mohawk territory, right, inside Canada. And they've been issuing their own gaming licenses since, like, the late 90s?
Yeah.
Way before most countries even knew what to do with online gambling, you know?
Way before. It's wild.
So today we're going to break it all down. Like, how did this even happen? What makes this license so unique?
Yeah.
And what does it mean for the future of online gambling? You know, the whole landscape.
Absolutely. It's fascinating. The Conawake Gaming Commission, or KGC, they've been a major player in the industry for decades now, operating with a level of autonomy that's pretty much unheard of in most places, thanks to how Conawake governs itself.
Okay, so I get that Conawake is calling its own shots, right? But why does that even matter for the gaming world? Like, what's the big deal about their license? What makes it stand out?
Well, think about it this way. Most countries, they tax gambling revenue. Pretty heavily, too. But Conawake, 0%.
Whoa, zero, really?
Yeah, nothing. And that alone, that makes it insanely attractive for operators, especially like startups or smaller companies that maybe can't handle the huge costs and super complicated regulations you see with, say, a European license.
So it's like a haven for online casinos and sportsbooks, like a come one, come all kind of place.
Well, not exactly a free-for-all. I mean, the KGC, they have a reputation for being pretty business-friendly, but they're also very careful about who they license. They've got a thorough vetting process, you know,
Makes sense.
to make sure operators are financially stable,
Right.
and committed to fair play.
So they don't want just anybody coming in and, you know, making a mess of things.
Exactly. It's not like the Wild West or anything.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So they want to protect their reputation.
Exactly, yeah. And the integrity of the industry. The industry they built, yeah.
But, okay, going back to the 0% tax thing, that's kind of blowing my mind. There's got to be a catch, right? Like, what's the downside?
Yeah, there are a few things to consider. First off, even though the Conawake license, it's been around forever, it's well established, right? It doesn't have that, like, global recognition, you know, as some of the bigger licensing bodies.
Oh, I see.
Like some payment providers and even some players might be hesitant because they're just not as familiar with it.
It's like having this great local restaurant, right? It's a hidden gem, amazing food, but maybe not as popular as, like, the big chains.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And then another thing is the U.S. market. Operators that have a Conawake license, they can't target players in the U.S.
Oh, okay.
So if you're looking to, you know, tap into that market, this is not the license for you.
Gotcha. So it's like it opens doors to a lot of the world, but it's not a universal key. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's a specific key for specific doors.
Right. So let's say you're an operator and you're interested. What kinds of licenses, like what are the options does Conawake offer?
Well, they've got a few to cater to different, like, types of operations, right? The most common one is called the Client Provider Authorization, or CPA. That's kind of your go-to for running, like, your online casino, sportsbook, poker, things like that.
Okay, that makes sense. So, like, if I wanted to set up my own virtual poker palace, I'd need a CPA.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
You got it. Now, there's also what's called the Interactive Gaming License, or IGL. This one's kind of unique.
Okay.
Because it's only held by one company, Mohawk Internet Technologies.
Wait, only one company? That's interesting. Why is that?
Well, it's a key part of how Conawake operates. MIT, they're responsible for all the server hosting for every website that operates under a Conawake gaming license. So they essentially control the infrastructure, which gives Conawake, you know, a lot of oversight and control.
So even if I get that CPA for my poker site, my servers have to be hosted by MIT. No exceptions.
That's right. It's a system that some operators might find kind of limiting, but it's also like a testament to Conawake's commitment to managing its own gaming industry,
Right.
like top to bottom.
Yeah, that's definitely a different approach. So we've got the CPA for the operators and the IGL, which is kind of like the backbone of the whole system. Are there any other, like, license types out there?
Yeah, there are a few more, but they're a little bit more specialized. You've got the Casino Software Provider Authorization, so if you're building the games themselves. right? And then there's the live dealer studio authorization for those, live casino setups.
Wow, so they've really thought of everything. It sounds like a pretty comprehensive system.
They have, yeah.
But before we go any further, let's take a step back, right? And talk about what it actually takes to get a Econo-Wake gaming license. It can't be as simple as like filling out a form online, right?
Oh, no, definitely not. You're right. Yeah, it's definitely more involved than like just clicking a button. The KGC is known for their due diligence.
Yeah.
They really want to make sure that anyone they license is legit, up to their standards.
So what kind of hoops do you have to jump through? Like, what are they looking for in an applicant?
Well, first off, you got to, choose the right license type
Right.
for your operation, like we talked about, right? The CPA or the IGL or whatever. And then get ready for a stack of paperwork. You need detailed company information, financial statements, to prove you're stable, background checks on, like, key personnel.
Sounds pretty standard so far, but I'm guessing it's not just about checking boxes. They're probably digging a little deeper, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The KGC wants to see a solid business plan. They want to understand like your target market, your marketing strategy, how you plan to ensure responsible gambling practices are in place.
Okay, so they're not just looking for a money-making machine. They want to see a responsible operator.
Right.
That makes sense. But what about once you actually have the license, like in hand? What's the relationship like with the KGC? Is it pretty hands-off, or are they keeping a close eye on things?
Oh, they're definitely involved.
Okay.
Ongoing compliance is a big deal. Operators have to maintain detailed records of everything. Financial transactions, player activity, game outcomes, like the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
And the KGC conducts regular audits,
right,
to make sure everyone's playing by the rules.
Yeah, so they're not just handing out licenses and walking away.
No, not at all.
They're really committed to regulating the industry. But what about player protection? How does the Econo-Wake license stack up in that regard?
Oh, player protection is like top priority for the KGC.
Go.
They have strict rules in place to, safeguard player funds. Things like mandatory segregation of player funds from operating capital, just like you see with, reputable banks.
Right. So that's one less thing for players to worry about. But what about ensuring those games are fair? That's always a concern with online gambling, right?
You're right. Fairness is crucial. The KGC requires operators to use certified random number generators.
Okay.
RNGs, right? To make sure that the game outcomes are truly random, can't be manipulated. They also have procedures for handling, like player disputes and complaints. So there's a system in place if, something seems off.
So they're not just protecting the operators.
No.
They're looking out for the players, too.
Yeah, they're looking out for everyone.
That's good to know. But let's zoom out for a second. Where does the Econo-Wake license fit into the bigger picture of global online gambling?
That's a great question. It's a bit of a unique case, right? Because while the Econo-Wake license has been around for ages, it's respected in the industry, it's not as widely recognized as some of the newer European licenses.
So it's like the veteran player who still got game but might not get as much hype as the rookies.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's a matter of familiarity and perception.
Okay.
Some operators and players might be more drawn to the established, European markets, even if the Econo-Wake license offers similar or even better benefits.
It's like choosing between a classic car and a flashy new model. Both have their appeal, right?
Exactly.
But what about the future? Where do you see the Econo-Wake license heading in the years to come? Do you think it will keep growing, or will it struggle to keep up with the changing landscape?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The online gambling world, it's constantly evolving, right? New regulations popping up all the time.
Yeah.
Econo-Wake, they're definitely going to need to adapt to stay competitive.
So they can't just rest on their laurels. They got to keep innovating, finding ways to stand out.
Yeah.
But what are some of the specific, challenges they might face? What are the hurdles they need to overcome to maintain their position in the industry?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is just keeping up with those ever-changing global regulations.
Right.
Different countries are constantly tweaking their gambling laws.
Yeah.
And Econo-Wake, needs to make sure its licensing framework, it remains compliant, attractive to operators.
So it's like trying to hit a moving target.
It is.
They have to be agile and ready to adjust their approach. But are there any other potential roadblocks they should be aware of? What else could trip them up?
Another key challenge is maintaining their reputation for integrity and reliability.
Okay.
As the industry gets even more competitive, it's super crucial that the Conowake license, it remains, a symbol of trust and quality.
Like they've built this amazing house,
Right.
but now they have to make sure they keep it well maintained
Exactly, yeah.
and up to code. But let's end this deep dive on a thought-provoking note, right? Okay.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on like the potential long-term impact of the Conowake model
Okay.
on the global online gambling scene? Could it inspire other jurisdictions?
That's a really interesting question. Could Conowake, with its focus on self-governance and that appealing 0% tax rate, could it become like a blueprint for other regions,
Yeah.
looking to regulate online gambling?
It's like they've created this like unique recipe for success, and now everyone's wondering if they can replicate it.
Yeah.
But we've covered a lot of ground here today.
We have.
From like the history and the autonomy of Conowake to the nitty-gritty of their licensing system, the benefits, the drawbacks,
Yeah.
and even some potential future implications. It's been quite a journey.
It has. And for anyone listening who's intrigued by this unique corner of the online gambling world, I encourage you to explore further.
Yeah.
The Conowake Gaming Commission, it's a fascinating case study
Right.
in how a community can forge its own path, in a complex global industry.
Well said. And with that, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.
Hello? Looking to dominate the iGaming market? TC Gaming is your answer. With 15 years of experience, we are Asia's most trusted white-label iGaming platform provider, delivering cutting-edge solutions and API integrations to clients across 30-plus countries. We don't just offer technology, we provide unmatched industry expertise and 24/7 dedicated support, ensuring your platform's success. Partner with TC Gaming today, where innovation meets reliability and success is just a click away.
Yeah, it really makes you think, right? Like, could other places learn from how Conowake's doing things? I mean, could we see like more self-governing regions stepping up, creating their own kind of gaming havens?
It's definitely possible, but it's important to remember that, Conowake's success, it's really tied to their specific history
Right.
and their political context. So just trying to copy that in other parts of the world, it might not be so simple.
Yeah, that's true. It's not like just copying the rules. It's about understanding the whole thing, like the culture and the politics that made it work there.
Exactly, yeah. And that's what makes Conowake so fascinating,
Yes.
right? They've managed to build this thriving industry, but they're still doing it their way.
Yeah.
Staying true to their own values,
Yeah.
their traditions. It's really a testament to their, ingenuity and their resilience.
I think what's so cool to me is how they've used like their autonomy, not just to benefit themselves, but to actually influence a whole industry.
Right. It's like a powerful example of what can happen when a community, takes control. It's like, we're going to do it our way, and they made it happen.
Yeah, it really challenges, that traditional top-down model of regulation.
Right.
Conowake shows that there are other ways to approach economic development, ways that put self-determination and cultural preservation first.
And for anyone listening who might be like, I want to learn more about this, where would you recommend they start? What are some, key resources or search terms?
Well, the Conowake Gaming Commission, they have a great website. That's a good starting point.
Okay.
They've got a ton of information about their, licensing process, the regulations,
Right.
their history. You can also find a lot of articles and reports from industry publications, that kind of offer more insights into how Conowake's doing things.
That's a great tip. And I think this deep dive has really opened my eyes to this whole other dimension of the online gambling world.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's just amazing to see how a community like Conowake has carved out this niche for themselves, and they've made such a huge impact.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that there's always more to learn.
Right.
Right. And that sometimes the most interesting stories, they're found in the places you least expect them.
Well said. So for all you curious listeners out there, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those deep dives going. We'll be back soon with another fascinating topic to explore. Until then, happy gaming. Responsibly, of course.